Hi everyone, let's go through the latest numbers for the Billericay property market, looking at last week's data. So I'll start by doing a quick run through of the key numbers and then talk more of the overall kind of trends and insights that we're seeing in the market. So starting with the numbers, we had 417 homes available for sale last week. That's up from 386 that we had in the same time in 2024. So still an increase, but not quite as big of an increase as we saw in earlier months this year, where there was sometimes 100 more homes available for sale compared to last year. That has reduced. There was 22 sales agreed last week in Billericay. That's up from 20, so a very slight increase on sales agreed. There was 24 price reductions last week. That is down very slightly from the 25 we saw last year, so similar numbers. And then property views, so this is the average amount of views a property is getting on Rightmove on a daily basis for last week. That was at 48, and that is down from 65 last year. So they're the key numbers. In terms of the overall I guess trends that we're seeing in the market, and this is very similar in lots of different markets, that we are very much in a buyer's market at the moment, and the best way to describe a buyer's market is that the power, the leverage really sits with the buyer in the transaction, and the reason for that is because there's more homes available and there's less buyers in the market, which means there's far more choice for the buyers, which means there's more properties for them to go out and see. The properties aren't moving as quickly, so they feel like they've got more choice, more time to make their decision. We can sometimes then slow down the amount of sales being agreed. And really those numbers I just run through is an indication of that. There's 417 homes available, which is up on last year, but then there's less buyers, there's less people active on Rightmove looking at properties on a daily basis. And that just shows the difference in the supply of homes and the demand for buyers, and when there is that difference and the supply does sit much higher, as I said, we very much are operating in a buyer's market, and again the price reductions is an indication of that, where sellers are needing to feeling like they need to reduce their price to become more competitive, more attractive to those buyers, so that out of the choice they've got, they choose their home. And that is why correct pricing from the outset, you only get one chance to list your home for the first time, and that's why it's so important that the price you set when you first launch is the correct one. You've got the correct strategy in place around pricing, so you don't need to reduce your price, so you're attractive to those buyers that are in market immediately, and so they go to your home first and come to view a property in person, which ultimately is where they're going to fall in love with the property and decide if they want it to be either their first or their next home. So there's some of the overall trends. As I said, we're very much operating in a buyer's market, and at the moment there's not really any trends or signs of that changing. I think that depending on what happens with the budget in November, that could shift potentially, but that depends on what is said in the budget, because that can make it shift either way ultimately. But yeah, they're the key numbers for the Billericay property market, and again some of the trends. But if you have any questions on anything I've covered in this video, feel free to send us a message or give us a call, and I'll be happy to help.